Let's move now to the NBA, where issues of social justice are on everybody's mind these days. In fact, JJ Redick just did a wide-ranging interview and made some interesting claims about why players like LeBron and KD have faced so much criticism for their career decisions. Joined now by Slick Rick, Fox NBA analyst. But Marcellus, I'm going to start with you. What are your reaction to JJ Redick's comments?
Oh, my reaction. Look, I just got to preface everything. None of us should speak for all of us, but I have to generalize since he did. So let's have some fun with this generalization. He's talking to the conversation that has been surrounding this about the stay-in-your-place mentality. You know, a lot of times it's a white ownership telling a black player to stay in your place, or white society at large telling black people to stay in your place. So I've had this conversation before privately with people, and even on the air at times, so I understand where he's coming from. But truth be told, even though it may be truthful, I don't think it's the primary reason behind the backlash of these two players. I think it was more about the players' moves than their skin tone and what that represented. Now, first, let me talk to JJ about the pressure he's feeling. There's this pressure right now that's going on that tells JJ Redick, who, you know, lean into being woke right now. That's the climate right now. And if you're going to do that, maybe sometimes display a little revisionist history for the sake of black people, because of the white guilt and you know, all the things that have been done wrong. Now let's look back and see, when did racism, when did it occur in the past? When was it applied that we didn't necessarily take notice of in that moment? So I understand where he's coming from, because I feel that pressure too right now. And that pressure is, Marcellus, support the movement, the organization of Black Lives Matter. Why? Because I'm black? Is just because that's an automatic membership. You feel that pressure. You have to be a part of something just because you are. And that's the problem. That sounds like Joe Biden to me right now. Let that joke go somewhere else. Now, here's the thing about this, that I know why this is not about racism. If you look at the situation with LeBron James, what LeBron James did, the biggest issue with LeBron James is that on worldwide television, he broke up with his ex-girlfriend. And then not only celebrated that, had the biggest pep rally and party ever, but moved on to a more beautiful and successful next girlfriend.
He did.
And everybody just felt that pain, not racism. And you know why it wasn't racism? LeBron in his absolute power didn't hold the NBA hostage, and everyone said, oh, black men dare not do that. Because 20 years prior, Michael Jordan did it not only once, but twice. And it wasn't racism when Michael Jordan held the entire NBA hostage. Is he going to play? Is he going to play? People are on their knees begging a black man in a more racist time, let's say, if we go backwards. And no one had claimed racism then, because it wasn't the issue then. It wasn't an issue with LeBron. KD was different. KD went out there and bucked the code of athletics and sports. In athletics and sports, the worst team gets the best player. And that's the same as even in street ball. If I'm playing against you, Slick Rick, and I beat you, and then we lose a player on each of our teams, we both are -1, and we see two dudes over there, you know who gets to pick first? You do, because you lost. But this situation, the winner got to get the rewards, the Golden State Warriors. The winner got to pick the guy that they wanted. And that's where everybody was like, wait a minute, that's not how the game goes. That's not how the draft goes. That's not how it works on the street. So JJ Redick leaned into what everybody is trying to lean into right now, which is some revisionist history of racism or the woke moment of the day. But I'm here to tell you, I didn't see racism in either one of these.
So I got to do something, Marcellus, first and foremost. I got to shout out JJ Redick, because he has actually been an ally for most of these things and just trying to step up and use his voice. But there's one problem. JJ, you can't be like the boy who cried wolf, because you can't be the people who cry racism, because what that ultimately does, it undermines true racism when it does in fact exist. Think about the finding of the noose. The NASCAR is not a predominantly black sport, so more than likely, who found that noose? I would venture to say it was likely a white individual. And now that whole uproar ended up undermining a cause to some, something we have to be conscious of. I understand a lot of people are hypersensitive. They are hyper aware right now. There is a lot of guilt right now, but you got to be cognizant. But let's get to sports, because that's what this is. Wasn't nobody mad about KD leaving because he was black. We're mad at KD leaving because he literally was one of the top 3 players in the NBA then and joined the best team statistically ever in the game's tenure. KD leaving and the backlash he felt had nothing to do with him being black. And how do we know this? Because several people, black, white, and everybody in between, was like, man, KD was tripping. KD was a punk. That's a punk move. It was a wise move because you now have a couple championships, but it was still a punk move. That's why we was upset about KD. LeBron, to Marcellus's point, a little bit different. I was drafted to the Cleveland Browns a year after LeBron dipped, and it was like that ugly breakup. They deleted all their pictures off Instagram of LeBron. They took down their huge posters. They took down their murals. I was walking backstage in the queue in the Cavaliers arena, and I was like, where LeBron at? He ain't never played here? Literally every picture gone. Yeah. So that was an emotional thing, not a race thing.
All right, so at the risk of being accused of the same thing that JJ Redick is being accused of.
Do it, we got you cornered. Do it.
Yeah. Look, first of all, I got to say 2 things. Number one, if we're playing, why couldn't you use the example that I won and I get to pick?
Hey, man, I write these notes. Okay. I write these notes.
Second thing, when it comes to LeBron leaving Cleveland, it wasn't that he just broke up with her on national TV. It was he said, I'm going to marry you, psych. Okay, that's why people reacted the way they did. Now, when it comes to both KD and LeBron and the reaction, I don't believe it's rooted in racism. I believe there are a number of branches here, but racism is one of them. There's a couple of others. As you guys have stated, there's elements to what these guys did and the way they did it that just violates the relationship between fans and athletes. There is a sense when it comes to fans that they want their athletes, their players to be as loyal to their team as they are. And there is a sense of ownership. We drafted you. You belong to us. We've seen other guys, Johnny Damon, Bryce Harper, who left their teams and they were hated for it. Eli Manning, Danny Ferry, guys who refused to go to the teams that drafted them and they were hated for it. But they weren't hated to the same level. It hasn't resonated as long. And I believe there's 2 things here. One, there's a healthy population, middle class, lower middle class white. It's not just that KD and LeBron are black. It's that they're black and they're rich. And there is a sense among whites
Rick
that
preaching now.
Hey,
Rick preaching.
You guys, you're lucky enough to be rich, and we made you rich. There's not a sense that black man created his own wealth, is that he was allowed to be wealthy. I think that exists. I would love, by the way, to see what the demographics are on the number of middle-class, lower white middle-class families that watch the Empire versus the Jeffersons. Would love to see what that dynamic is. But I believe that, look, the markets that they left, there were a healthy number of white people, middle-class, lower middle-class white people in those markets who saw a rich black man who was saying, I'm not only richer than you, or not saying it, but just being it,
I am.
but I have independent, I'm independent of you. I don't owe you anything. And I think there's a sense in those markets from those people that, yes, you do. And you violated something above and beyond. And so I think there's an element. I don't think it's rooted, but I think it's part of it.
So if Steven Adams would have left, it wouldn't have been the same?
No, it would not.